Ooh, okay. So we're getting late in the day. I hope everybody's had a really useful and interesting day. On the 26th of September last year, we had the launch event for the Blockpass lab after about 4 months, I think, from when the first discussions took place. And then on the next day, on the 27th, we had the first one of these conferences as part of our launch events, and I'm delighted to see that we're going strong second year, many more people, many more interested people, so that's fantastic. I have to say a really big thank you to Professor Bill Buchanan and his team. Bill is the director of the lab facility here. He has Will and Adam, PhD students funded by Blockpass based in the lab, and a bunch of others as well. And then there's a whole bunch of other Napier people, and of course the university itself, who have worked hard to get this event on. So that's really great. And of course the Cyber Academy within the lab as well. Let me just turn my timer on so I know where I'm going. Right. I don't know where they got that photo. That's really old. Note the word technical. I am not the traditional product manager who likes to think about marketing. Obviously, I work closely with the marketing department. They gave me this slide deck yesterday for me to present, so hopefully it will all go well. So let's talk a little bit about what Blockpass is and what we're trying to do, which is to build an infrastructure that connects different people, different elements, different actors within the space of identity to communicate with each other and to reuse various facts that might be attested about a specific individual, but then moving forward to about a specific business, about a specific object or device. But where we are today is we have KYC, Know Your Customer, out there and live, and I'll talk about that a bit more in a moment. So we have KYC today, KYB, which isn't on there, but is probably going to be the next big push for us. We aim for a truly self-sovereign identity product. There's different definitions of what self-sovereign means, but we aspire to the strongest of those definitions, and what we can also say is that there is nobody yet who can deliver what we see as a really full self-sovereign solution where you retain complete control of your data, where you, through your own action, can cause its removal from somebody you might have previously provided it to. It says blockchain up there, but I think it's important that we widen our use a little bit and talk about distributed ledger technologies. IOTA have been here a few times today, and I think their graph approach, their Tangle as they address it, and what that makes possible in terms of not free but feeless transactions is really significant. And so yes, blockchain, Blockpass, but it's wider than that. So we talk about trusted connections between entities. An example came up earlier today, a question to Andy of Evernham, around, and I think he answered the question giving the example of the DVLA, and the DVLA being able to attest or certify to the truth of some statement about somebody as represented by their digital identity. I think something that's really important to take account is that it doesn't have to be the DVLA. To make this work, it can be any party who is trusted by the recipient who can certify that somebody has a driver's license of a certain level. So already there are commercial businesses who are in the business, especially for like rental car companies, of establishing, they provide a service to rental car companies to prove that, or to reasonably prove that somebody wanting to hire a car has a certain license, a certain state of their license. So it doesn't have to just be directly to source. When we talk about connecting different entities, it is between anybody who wants something to be provable about themselves, about their identity, and anybody who can provide some level of proof, some level of evidence that that is true, while using cryptography to hold it all together so that there's no room for fraud in that within the chain, within the connection between those parties. Also, connection comes about in another way, as different entities might do their own additional checking on a particular identity. For example, a bank may want to take whatever can be provided in terms of verification of an identity, but they may want to do their own checks as well. And once they've done their own checks, they should be able to certify those additional truths about an individual, an identity, and they should be able to be rewarded by other consumers of those additional proofs. So building that real network where you're not just a consumer of facts about somebody, but you can be both, or a provider, but you can be both a consumer and a provider. Blockpass is a very globally disparate organisation, but our primary locations are Hong Kong is where the head office is, where the management is, the core management is done from. London looks after operations and relationships with a number of UK partners, and also Vietnam is where our development office sits. But we do have people in a few other places as well. It's worth mentioning perhaps that the founders of our company just happened to be somebody from the UK, somebody from the US, one from France. They were already based in Hong Kong at the inception of Blockpass. So it's evolved that way. It's of course a very, very diverse company now. And as I say, quite spread out as well. We have a bunch of partners, and they're not all listed here. There's a couple that I want to touch on briefly, other than, of course, the lab and Napier University. Also, Infinito Wallet. This is a cryptocurrency, multi-currency wallet for people to hold their, to nominally hold their cryptocurrency holdings within that wallet. But within their wallet, they've integrated the Blockpass service, and I'll talk a little bit more about security tokens down the line, but where you have a specific token, where you're only allowed by the distributor, the creator of that token, to hold it if you have undergone certain KYC checks, if you are able to prove who you are in order to hold and to buy and sell that token. They have integrated into their wallet so that any token can be dropped in there using Blockpass from within the wallet to do the identity proving piece. A couple not mentioned on here, but we work with Onfido is a third party we use for identity document authenticity checks, and Comply Advantage, who are partnered with us, and we use them for sanctions lists, politically exposed persons, and also adverse media checks. So the key point with those two is you're not trusting Blockpass when we deliver to you an identity with a certificate that says that this individual doesn't appear on any sanctions lists, for example. You're not trusting us, you're trusting a leading player who's already trusted by banks and other heavily regulated organizations to make that statement. We are just connecting that statement to a specific identity and making it possible to then deliver that to who we would term a merchant, but it doesn't necessarily have to just be a commercial offering. Anybody who needs to know who it is at the other end of a transaction. So here, again, trusted and shared. At some point, you've still got to trust whoever is attesting to a certain fact about an individual. Going back to the earlier version, that could be the DVLA, fantastic level of trust, but it could also be an international provider of license checking services. So trust matters, and who is issuing these certificates matters. The shared point is around not needing to get these facts reattested to every time. So again, using the rental car example, every time you go to a rental car agency, they are going to use whoever their provider of license information it is to check on you again. The world that we want to create is you will be able to go into that rental car company and deliver to them your identity with a certificate that is entirely trustable, reputable, that says, yep, I've got a clean license for this level of car issued by this country, and so on. One of the things that makes Blockpass a little bit different from a number of other companies operating in a similar space, we're very much driven by the actual needs of the regulated customers, the regulated businesses who need this service. And you will see that in terms of our customer base. Initially, it's very crypto-focused. It's crypto exchanges, those sorts of businesses, but it's growing beyond that. And we are, first of all, delivering a solution to them, and the very clever technology, because it is very clever technology in the whole crypto space, is secondary to that. You'll see with some others that they're all about the delivery to the individual of a crypto service, of a digital identity of some form, which is great. But if that identity is not deliverable to the businesses that need you to prove the identity, or it's hard for them to integrate the ability to handle those identities, then you haven't really solved the problem. So our focus, and it's also represented in our founders who come from that kind of regulatory technology background, is to focus first on providing a service that helps regulated businesses onboard customers, and obviously making that easy for their potential customers is part of providing that service to our customers, who are those businesses at the end of the day. Okay, a little bit about product. Our kind of feature product is KYC Connect. This is what we deliver to regulated businesses. It provides them a dashboard and a set of interfaces to the individual identities coming from our users with our mobile application, and it allows them to do whatever level of additional checking they might require as people submit their identities, their digital identities to them. Provides that dashboard, provides a process for assigning different operators to handle various identities, so there's a queue, minimize the amount of people just being able to access information, so that if you're the operator who started dealing with a particular identity, then you're more than likely to see it through to the end, and that identity will be locked to you as a reviewer up until the point that that is approved or it's passed off to a manager to deal with some exception case. So that dashboard is kind of the core of our product, of our primary product at the moment. The only other thing is where we talk about keeping a seal. In the context of crypto, of course, what we're talking about is hashes and Merkle trees so that we can exchange proofs of data without actually providing necessarily the raw data itself. This product is at the point now where you can, as a merchant, you can say, we need to know that this person has a passport that is valid, and we need to know their date of birth, but we don't want to actually see, for example, the image of the passport. And that's a very much an increasing space where people who want to deal, who are regulated and need to deal with users' identity data, they want the minimum that they can have in order to meet their regulatory requirements. They don't want bundles of private information that is not absolutely necessary to them sitting around on their servers where it's potentially vulnerable. Next piece is the mobile app. This is what individuals use to kind of create their identity. and connect that identity, so provide that identity to merchants. Just quickly, the process, if you download the app, it starts when you want to connect to a merchant. They will present to you either a QR code on a website or an app link if you're already on mobile. That will take you to the Blockpass product. It will prompt you for the various pieces of information that merchant needs or that are required in order to get a certificate that merchant requires. So, for example, they may want your name, address, birth date, and phone number, but in order to give a certified birth date, they want to know that that's been verified against a government-issued identity document. So that secondary requirement will mean that you need to take an image of your passport, submit that. That will go to OnFido to verify the authenticity of that passport, and then that check result is again, it's hashed against the various input fields, and then that certificate is sent with the data they require to the merchant whose site you were on when you got the QR code or the link to start the onboarding process. So it's worth having a play. It probably sounds quite complex. We've put a lot of effort into kind of streamline that process and make it feel very natural that you're providing the data you need at this stage to meet this merchant's requirements. And then if you go to another merchant and they have greater requirements, we'll only, of course, ask you for the additional pieces of information needed to do that. A big part of what's going on for us at the moment is the space of security tokens. In this room, when you hear the term security token, you're most likely thinking about a Google App Authenticator or a little dongle or some other kind of physical or cryptographic two-factor authentication method. In our space, when we talk about security tokens, we're talking about cryptocurrency tokens, where the issuer of those tokens wants to ensure that they are complying with the securities laws in the jurisdictions which they're allowing that token to be traded from. So, just watch out for that secondary meaning. Pass Verify, so this is a kind of embryonic developing product for us. This allows the connection of an identity to a specific cryptocurrency or crypto wallet address. It allows us to, we send people through a very light level KYC process and build up a whitelist of cryptocurrency addresses that anybody can check is associated with an actual identity, but without actually revealing that identity. So if you engage with one of these people, they tell you this is your cryptocurrency address, you have any caution about it, you can then request them send their identity and be absolutely certain that that is the identity that was associated with that particular wallet address. Pass Verify and our Pass token is live on the Ethereum network, has been for some time. I should mention that our Pass token is both a way to enable this KYC facility, but it's also how merchants pay for our services. So, if you want to use the KYC Connect process, then you're paying on a transaction basis, a certificate basis actually, in Pass token. So that's kind of how we leverage our product. And how we seed this idea of creating this whitelist of somewhat KYC certified cryptocurrency addresses. Live on Ethereum has been for a while. We'll be launching in the very near future on the Waves chain. The smart contracts and everything to do that are now ready to go, and it's just working through the last little stages around actually launching that as a feature. And we have active conversations going on with other chains who see value in integrating our KYC capabilities into the services that are being offered by people who are operating and implementing on those other chains. Did I miss one? Nope. Okay. Okay, and of course, back to the lab. The Blockpass Identity Lab at Edinburgh Napier University. This is a very, very important collaboration for Blockpass. It hopefully demonstrates our long-term thinking, our interest in real leading-edge research into zero-knowledge proofs, into how AI can be integrated into the space of identity and encrypted identities in particular. Through the lab, we have access to some real pure research stuff, but we also get support in terms of reviews of our security model, our propositions, the way we are using crypto, so that we can have high confidence that we, as technical competencies rather than security-focused mathematicians, aren't doing anything that is leaving open too many or wide holes anywhere. And also it gives us opportunities to explore collaborations with other businesses who sit alongside us somewhere in the ecosystem, where we're working with the lab. There might be some value in us integrating with them or them integrating the Blockpass products. So it's very important to us. It's a multi-year commitment that we've made, and hopefully that will keep going strong and building as we move forward. And thank you all very much. Hello.
Anyway.
So in. Okay. So at the moment on our internal systems, the raw data transits through our systems between the request for a specific certificate and it being sent on to the certifying external party. It's deleted from our systems as soon as that certificate has reached its destination and been added to the identity in the user's device. It's a valid question. That data sits on our servers in an encrypted form, but our goal is to hang on to it for as little time as is possible, and to ultimately, ideally, not actually require us to touch that data at all, but that will require establishing APIs and things at the certifying agencies so that the data can go directly to them, and then we only ever need to see the hashes of that data. Does that answer the... Hello?
Okay, let's have one more.
Oh, sorry.
Maybe two. Very fast. Do you want? I think you were first, mate.
If I give you a list of my first IDs to check tomorrow, how long will it take you to answer?
So if you had 5,000 IDs,
5,000 IDs, I need to verify how long will it take you to
so the identities would need to come through our Blockpass mobile app. So if you've got 5,000 people to download those 5,000 IDs, again, I'm not the marketing side, but it's around, depending on the level of certification you need, around €2 per identity. And for the smooth cases, the ones where, the pictures of the passport are all good and the automated systems can deal with that and nothing gets bounced as being unprocessable, that should all happen, it's normally, to get back to the point where it's in your system for final approval, is normally around 10-20 minutes from first submission. Obviously, if anything goes wrong in getting those initial certificates, and I'll come back to that in a moment, there's a process to work with whoever uploaded that data to get them to resolve whatever the problem is, and that varies a lot depending on the complexity, depending on the responsiveness, and how many of those we're getting is going to obviously affect the staffing load. One thing I didn't mention, at the moment there are 3 standard certificates that everybody who is using our app pretty much obtains. One of those is a certificate that says that the person with the phone able to provide a selfie matches the picture of the person in the identity document. One is that the identity document is true and authentic, and one that is the individual has no no references on any of the politically exposed persons, sanctions, or adverse media lists. And for the full set of those, I think it's €4 per identity. If you don't want the sanctions lists, I think that's €2 per identity.
Right.
Yeah, so the value for us is we're taking a loss on that, but these people then have those certificates. So if they've already signed up with another merchant and then they're coming to you, we're still going to charge you €2. So that's where it makes sense for us.
Thank you. All right, thanks. Oof.